This week we are making a wilderness oven with mud and sticks. We're going to collect the yeast off of aspen bark, make some sourdough, and make up some goodies.
Freaking perfect. Look at that. This looks like a good mud bank over here. Oh, that water's cold. Oh, that's good looking clay right there. See if we can find a little sand and dry grass. Carrying heavy stuff, and that's not. So I'm gonna need some clay, some sand if I can find some, and dry grass. And with those three things, I'm gonna make a cob mixture. Additionally, I'm gonna need some flexible twigs, which I've got a lot of that stuff around here. Here looks like some good flexible stuff. That ought to be way more than enough. My plan is to build a frame, kind of like an upside down basket. There's a plant called false hellebore around here that's got big wide leaves. I can put those around the outside of that frame, and then I think I can start packing that cob mixture around that to form a dome for the oven. So this soil up here is kind of sandy, and so I'm thinking that I'll just save some of this to mix with that clay so that hopefully it doesn't shrink too much when it dries. It's the problem with using straight clay is it shrinks a bunch. Drag this down here in a semi-level spot. Dulled my blade. I guess it's doing all right. The cob stomper. All right, let's see what we can figure out here. So this is false hellebore, and it grows in kind of wet areas around here. But I'm just going to use this to cover this so my mud doesn't seep in there too bad. Got a pretty good bit done. I'm just going to cover it up so it doesn't get any more wet than it is. And I'll come back tomorrow. The weather right now is nice, so hopefully it'll dry somewhat, and then we can start a low fire in there, dry that thing out, dry enough so that we can start a bigger fire in there and really dry it out. So the safety police are gonna get after me for this because I haven't cleared out a big bare spot around my fire. It's springtime, the ground is super wet. Chill, it'll be okay. There we go. Way back here in the back, like that. Back there. All right, so I'm just gonna collect some dry branches and just kind of keep this thing going in there pretty much all day long. Not a lot to see. All right, I've got in my little bowl here, I've got a wad of dough. So this is just a cup of flour, a little bit of water, teaspoon of sugar. And I'm gonna try to harvest my yeast off of this aspen tree. If you rub on an aspen tree, there's this white powder. I'm told that's yeast. So we're gonna give it a go. All right, set this in a spot out of the way, give it a couple of days and see what it does. It's definitely setting up good. It's warm. You can see the steam coming off of it. I'd like to know what the temperature is inside that thing, but it is mighty hot. Ow. Just a touch, I can't keep my hand on the top. Just barely touch it and it burns your hand. And everything, I'm actually pretty surprised at how well it held together. There's really not all that much cracking in it. And that fire is super hot in there. I'm gonna take my tarp and just put kind of a small shelter over the top just in case it rains, because this time of year you never really know. All right, so I've got one of those cedar logs up here. I'm just gonna take off the outside of the bark with my machete here, and then I'll strip the inner bark to use as lashing. But my machete is pretty dull, and one of the questions that I get all the time is, how do you sharpen your knife? And the way I do it is just take and find a flat rock. And I've got kind of a semi-flat rock here, and just use it as a whetstone. But it's gonna be a dry stone in this case. You'd be surprised at how well it works. You can make these things shave. Well, that's good enough for peeling cedar bark. Try not to tear it. Look at that. That is beautiful. Yeah. So this inner part of the bark here, this is the part of the tree that transports the nutrients throughout the tree. And so if you lick it, it's got a kind of a sweet taste to it, because the tree is transporting sugars. Cut this thing into more manageable pieces. Kind of half cutting it and half just letting it follow the grain. of the bark. Worked. Oh, I'll be damned. We'll fire this thing up and see if we can't cook us some bread. All right, so it's gonna take this thing a little while to heat up, but we'll just get us a good fire ripping in there. All right, so this thing's been cooking for about 2 hours and it is real hot. I'm just gonna set that there and let the heat inside the oven just kind of even out a little bit. Try to get rid of any hot spots. I really don't know what I'm doing, but that's what they tell me. Got my pan of Southern style drop biscuits. I'm gonna pull the door off of this thing. I've also got up here kind of warming. This is some sourdough that I made with the yeast off of the aspen trees. It really hasn't had enough time to really do what it's supposed to do as far as generating more yeast and rising. So I'm thinking it's gonna be a pretty dense loaf, but we're gonna try it out anyway. Yeah, that sucker's heavy and hot. These coals right here aren't helping any. If I can, we're gonna fit both of them. Maybe. Maybe just barely. These things typically use a wooden door, but I didn't have a wooden door. So I'm gonna try to block off as much of this air as I can without catching my ass on fire. Ow, goddamn. It's hot. Stay right there. Okay. Well. That's hot. A little sourdough loaf. And my drop biscuits. They're a little doughy. Still a little doughy in there. Hot. Hot. Oh, that's hot. All right, let's try her again. Oh. Sounds like bread. Oh. Well, they didn't get as brown as I would have liked, but where's my machete? We'll just use machete. Should have put some more cornmeal on the bottom. Oh, look at that. Just like Mama used to make. Need some butter and honey. There you go. Wilderness earth oven and a basket full of bread. Gotta break this one open and see. I know I'm supposed to let it cool, but I can't wait. Actually, doesn't look too bad. So that came, the yeast for this came off of I made a ball of dough. Came out here to one of these aspen trees and just kind of patted it on the aspen tree. And I let it sit. I think I did this on day 2. It's day 4 now. Nope. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing quite like fresh baked bread. Oh man, they looking good. Freaking perfect. Look at that. Look at that. That just, I just don't know if it gets any better than that. Bam! Passes inspection. Well, I would have to call that a success. I think this is one of those things where you just kind of gotta use it a few times and get used to it. Finn says it's a pass. Well, that's a wrap, folks. We'll see y'all on the next one.